Officer, I can assure you that according to Section 7, 3.2 of the Sunshine Estates bylaws, decorative water features and art installations are explicitly permitted, I explained, handing him my laminated copy of the HOA regulations. The Dolphin is clearly an artistic representation of marine life. The fact that people can slide through its body cavity into my pool is merely an innovative feature of the sculpture. My neighbor's 10-year-old son shot out of the Dolphin's mouth with a joyous whoop, creating a spectacular splash. The HOA president, Patricia Winters, looked like she might have an aneurysm. "Mr. Wilson," Officer Reynolds said, fighting a smile as he reviewed my permits. "Everything appears to be in order from a municipal standpoint. The structure has passed safety inspection and is within your property boundaries." Patricia stepped forward, her designer sunglasses barely concealing her fury. "This is a clear violation of the spirit of our community guidelines. This monstrosity is a pool slide disguised as art." "Actually," interjected Leo, my contractor and the artistic genius behind the Dolphin, "this is art that happens to have slide-like properties, a crucial distinction." Another child launched from the Dolphin's mouth, arms outstretched in pure glee. "I'll be taking this to the full board," Patricia warned, already retreating. "This isn't over, Wilson." I smiled politely. "The refreshment table is open to everyone. We have some lovely non-alcoholic punch." How did I get here? Well, like many great conflicts in human history, it began with the simple desire to make my children happy. 6 months earlier, I had been a recently divorced dad, trying to create a stable environment for my kids during their time with me. After 15 years of marriage, Julie and I had realized we worked better as co-parents than spouses. The split was as amicable as these things can be, with shared custody of our 2 children. Tyler, 12, and Emma, 9. I'd purchased a modest 4-bedroom house in Sunshine Estates, an upscale suburban development with good schools and a community pool. But the real selling point was the backyard swimming pool, a feature I hoped would make my place feel like home, rather than just Dad's house, to my kids. The first few months passed uneventfully as I settled into the neighborhood. I met the Mendozas next door, who had children around the same ages as mine. I exchanged polite nods with Colonel Barrett, a retired military officer who kept his lawn in a state of parade ground perfection. I even volunteered for the neighborhood cleanup day, where I met Susan Chen, a friendly woman who reluctantly admitted she served on the HOA board. "Don't hold it against me," she'd said with a wink. "Someone reasonable needs to be in the room when decisions are made." Summer arrived, and with it came my kids' first extended stay during their school break. We fell into a comfortable routine, lazy mornings, afternoons by the pool, and evenings watching movies or playing board games. It was during one of those pool afternoons that the fateful conversation occurred. "Dad, Kaylee from school has a pool slide and it's awesome," Emma declared, splashing around in the shallow end. "It's like 10 feet tall and goes super fast." "Mine needs to be at least 12 feet, Tyler added, never one to be outdone. "Let's not get carried away," I laughed, "but I'll see what's available. Maybe we can install something before your next visit." Their faces lit up with such excitement that I immediately started researching options that evening. I found several models that would work with my pool configuration, nothing as massive as Tyler's 12-foot fantasy, but respectable 6-foot slides that would provide plenty of fun without requiring structural reinforcement of my deck. Being a rule follower by nature, despite what Patricia would later claim, I downloaded the required HOA approval forms for external modifications. I carefully completed the application, included brochures from 3 different manufacturers, and submitted everything 2 days later. The response came more quickly than I expected. A cream-colored envelope bearing the Sunshine Estates logo appeared in my mailbox just 5 days after submission. Inside was a form letter with boxes checked next to "Denied" and "Aesthetic Concerns." A handwritten note at the bottom read, "Pool slides are not in keeping with the architectural harmony of Sunshine Estates. See Section 5. 4.1 regarding recreational equipment, height restrictions." I called the HOA office and scheduled a meeting with the Architectural Review Committee, hoping to plead my case in person. The following Tuesday, I found myself sitting across from Patricia Winters, Gerald Hoffman, and two other board members whose names I'd immediately forgotten. "Mr. Wilson, I appreciate your persistence," said Patricia, peering at me over her reading glasses. "But our Architectural Review Committee has been quite clear. Pool slides disrupt the visual harmony of the neighborhood." "It's in my backyard," I pointed out, "behind a 6-foot privacy fence, which does not extend to the full height of your proposed slide," she countered, pushing my latest design across the table. Section 5. 4.1 clearly states that no recreational equipment may extend beyond the height of privacy barriers. What about the Johnsons' basketball hoop, or the Petersons' swing set? Those were grandfathered in before the current bylaws were established. She smiled thinly. Perhaps you should have researched our community standards more thoroughly before purchasing your home. The dismissive tone irritated me, but I maintained my composure. Is there any compromise we could reach? A lower profile model, perhaps? Gerald Hoffman, a man who looked like he'd never experienced joy, cleared his throat. The committee's decision is final for this application cycle. You may resubmit in 6 months with an alternative proposal. I left the meeting defeated, dreading having to tell my kids that their pool slide dreams were officially on hold. Their next weekend visit confirmed my fears. Their disappointment was palpable. "But why?" Emma asked, her lower lip trembling slightly. "We wouldn't be too loud or anything." "They say it's about how it looks from outside," I explained. "That's stupid," Tyler declared. "No one can even see our backyard." "I'm sorry, guys. I tried." Emma looked down at her half-eaten cereal. "It's okay, Dad. Your house is still cool." "Your house, not our house." The distinction pierced my heart. Later that afternoon, while the kids were swimming, I chatted with Maria Mendoza over the fence. Her family's yard featured a small, decorative fountain, a cherub pouring water from an urn. "That's a nice water feature," I commented. "Thanks. We installed it last month. The HOA actually encourages decorative elements. Patricia even complimented it during her inspection walk." "Inspection walk?" Maria rolled her eyes. "She does them monthly, looking for violations." I glanced at the fountain again, and something clicked. That evening, after the kids were asleep, I pulled out the HOA regulations and began reading them more carefully. Under Approved Exterior Modifications, I found Section 7. 3.2. Decorative water features and art installations that enhance property aesthetics are permitted with proper approval. Such features are exempt from height restrictions when classified as artistic or cultural installations. An idea began to form. Not fully developed, but intriguing enough that I spent the next few hours researching precedents and loopholes in HOA regulations. By morning, I had a plan. A ridiculous, probably impossible plan, but one that technically might work. "So, let me get this straight," Melissa said, setting down her coffee. "You want to install what is essentially a pool slide, but technically classify it as artwork?" My college friend had become a property attorney, which made her the perfect person to consult about my scheme. "Exactly," I replied. "The HOA bylaws explicitly permit decorative water features and art installations without height restrictions. And this art would happen to be shaped like a dolphin with a hollow interior that people could slide through." Melissa laughed. "God, I hate HOAs. This is technically feasible, but you'll need the right documentation. The key is making sure it's primarily classified as art, with a water feature component, not recreational equipment. She helped me draft a proper application that emphasized artistic merit, cultural significance, and aesthetic contribution. We carefully avoided any terminology that might suggest slide, recreation, or play equipment. The next challenge was finding someone to build this aquatic monstrosity. I contacted several pool contractors, most of whom either laughed at me or politely declined. One suggested I just move to a neighborhood without an HOA, which was unhelpful but not unreasonable advice. Finally, through a referral from a colleague, I connected with Leonardo Martinez, who owned a custom pool design company called Aquatic Visions. We met at my house on a Tuesday afternoon. Leo was a sturdy man in his 40s with paint-spattered jeans and an artist's perceptive eyes. He walked around my pool area slowly, occasionally making notes on a digital tablet. "Most guys wouldn't touch this project," Leo said, sketching rapidly as we sat by my pool. "Too weird, too much HOA drama." "But you will," he grinned. "Mr. Wilson, I went to art school before getting into pool design. The chance to build a functional dolphin sculpture that's also secretly a badass water slide, that's literally my dream project." He showed me his sketch. A magnificent dolphin appearing to leap from the pool deck, its body curved to form a perfect slide path through its interior. "The water will flow through a hidden channel, creating both the aesthetic of movement and the functional lubrication for the slide," Leo explained. "From the outside, it's clearly art. From the inside," he winked. "Will it pass HOA scrutiny?" I asked. "On paper, absolutely. It's a decorative water feature with artistic elements. The fact that it's also extremely slidable is merely a happy coincidence." With Leo's design and credentials, he had actually exhibited sculptures in several galleries before focusing on pool design. I prepared my application for the Marine Life Water Feature project. The documentation emphasized cultural significance, environmental awareness, and the artistic celebration of marine ecosystems. I included quotes about the importance of public art and even cited studies about how water features increase property values. Before submitting, I discreetly gauged support among my neighbors. The Mendozas were immediately enthusiastic. "Are you kidding?" Carlos laughed. "I want front row seats when Patricia realizes what you've done." To my surprise, Colonel Barrett offered his support as well. I had approached him nervously, expecting resistance from the straight-laced military man. "Son, I served 30 years defending American freedoms, including the freedom to outsmart petty bureaucracy," he said, inspecting Leo's designs with approval. "This is a textbook example of tactical regulatory navigation. You have my support." Most valuable was Susan from the HOA board, who provided insider information about application phrasing that would be difficult to reject. "Use the exact language from Section 7, 3.2, she advised, and submit it 3 days before the monthly meeting when they're rushing to review applications. Armed with these insights, I submitted my proposal for the Oceanic Awareness Aquatic Installation and waited. 3 weeks later, I received conditional approval, pending final design review. Patricia had written a note questioning the scale of the installation, but couldn't find specific grounds for rejection based on the artistic classification. Leo began work the following Monday, starting with what appeared to be routine pool maintenance and plumbing upgrades. The true nature of the project wasn't evident until the 3rd week, when the fiberglass framework of the Dolphin began to take shape. "That's a lot of fiberglass for pool maintenance," observed Colonel Barrett, watching as workers unloaded materials from a truck. "Just some upgrades," I said casually, "improving the circulation system." He adjusted his hat. "Son, I commanded a naval base for 15 years. I know marine-grade fiberglass when I see it. That's for building boats. Or in your case, I suspect, large aquatic mammals. My heart sank. Colonel, He raised a hand. Your operation, your business. Just make sure your supply lines are secure and your intelligence doesn't leak. He winked and walked away. As the Dolphin took shape, Patricia made her inevitable inspection visit. She arrived unannounced one afternoon while Leo and his team were working on the internal slide path. We're still in the foundational stages, Leo explained, strategically positioning himself to block Patricia's view of the curved interior channel. She craned her neck to see around him. It seems much larger than the rendering suggested. Perspective can be tricky in two-dimensional representations, I offered. Rest assured, the final dimensions match exactly what was approved. And what is that? She asked, pointing to a section of molded fiberglass clearly designed as a slide path. That's the internal water circulation pathway, Leo said without missing a beat. It creates a natural flow that mimics the dolphin's swimming pattern, very cutting edge in aquatic installations. Patricia left unsatisfied, but without specific violations to cite. Meanwhile, Leo and I worked through various technical challenges. The water pressure needed careful calibration. Too little would make the slide experience disappointing, while too much might launch users dangerously far into the pool. The problem, Leo explained, showing me his calculations, is that we need enough water flow to make it fun, but not so much that it launches people into the neighbor's yard. That would definitely violate HOA rules, I agreed. I've designed this flow regulator that adjusts based on the user's weight, he continued. Lighter kids get proportionally less thrust than adults. Everyone gets the perfect ride. That's brilliant. What about making it look less slide-ish from the outside? That's where the secondary outer shell comes in, Leo said, showing me another drawing. From the exterior, all you see is the smooth, artistic form of the dolphin. The slide path is completely concealed within, invisible until you climb the interior access stairs. Our focus on aesthetics paid off in an unexpected way when Emma befriended Patricia's granddaughter, Lily, during a weekend visit. The girls met at the community playground and quickly became inseparable. When Patricia brought Lily to pick up some left-behind toys, the girls were drawing pictures of dolphins on my patio. Your dolphin is going to be so cool, Lily told Emma as they colored. Grandma says it's very… what was the word? Ostentatious, Patricia supplied, sipping the iced tea I'd offered. Her expression softened watching the girls. Though I must admit, the craftsmanship appears impressive. Thank you, I said, surprised by the almost compliment. The artist is very talented. Grandma, can we come swimming when it's done? Lily asked. Emma says the dolphin will have water coming out of it. Patricia and I exchanged a look, hers suspicious, mine innocent. We'll see, she said carefully. After nearly 2 months of work, the dolphin was finally completed. Standing 15 feet tall, the magnificent fiberglass creation appeared to be leaping from my pool deck, its body gracefully arched with water flowing over its surface. From the outside, it was undeniably a work of art, with meticulous detailing and dynamic form. From the inside, accessible via a discrete entrance panel that revealed stairs, it was an engineering marvel designed for the perfect sliding experience. The city inspector arrived for the final approval, circling the structure with an expression of bewildered admiration. I've been doing this job for 22 years, and this is definitely a first. Is there a problem? I asked. Technically, no. It meets all the building codes for a decorative water feature. The water circulation system is properly installed. The electrical work is up to code, and the structure is secure. He looked at me knowingly. Though I noticed the interior channel is remarkably smooth and has a rather specific curvature. That's for optimal water flow, Leo explained. Of course it is, the inspector said with a slight smile. Well, everything passes inspection. Enjoy your art installation. Once we were alone, Leo and I conducted the first test run. As the designer, he insisted I should have the honor of the inaugural ride. "The water pressure feels good," Leo called out as I climbed the concealed stairs inside the Dolphin. "Start feet first on your back." I positioned myself at the top of the interior channel. Water was flowing smoothly along the surface, creating exactly the right amount of lubrication. "Here goes nothing," I muttered, pushing off. What followed was 3 seconds of pure exhilaration and moderate terror as I rocketed through the Dolphin's internal passageway and emerged from its mouth, launching a good 4 feet before splashing into the deep end. When I surfaced, Leo was doubled over laughing. That was perfect," he wheezed. "You should have seen your face when you shot out." We made a few minor adjustments to the water flow and tested it several more times, strictly for quality control purposes, of course. The real moment of truth came that weekend when Tyler and Emma arrived for their visit. I had kept the completed Dolphin a surprise, covering it with a tarp and telling them only that I had commissioned some pool art. Their faces when I unveiled it were everything I had hoped for: wide eyes, dropped jaws, and expressions of pure disbelief. "You built a slide?" Tyler exclaimed. "Not exactly," I corrected. "It's an artistic marine life water feature that celebrates our connection to oceanic ecosystems." Emma looked at me quizzically. "But we can slide through it, right?" "Well, there is an interior channel that allows for a fully immersive artistic experience." Tyler rolled his eyes. "Dad, can we slide down it or not?" Yes, you can." What followed was perhaps the most joyful afternoon of my post-divorce life. Emma stood at the top, peering down the channel with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Is it scary?" she asked. "It's exciting," I assured her. "Remember how you feel on the big water slides at the park? Like that, but better because it's ours." She nodded, took a deep breath, and pushed off. Her delighted scream echoed inside the Dolphin before she shot out in a perfect arc, landing with a splash. When she surfaced, her face was pure joy. "That was awesome! Tyler, you have to try it!" Tyler, trying to play it cool, casually climbed up. "It doesn't look that fast," he said, then proceeded to yell even louder than his sister as the Dolphin sent him flying. For the next 2 hours, all I heard was, "Again, again," as they took turns. Watching them, I knew every dollar and headache had been worth it. News of the Dolphin spread quickly through the neighborhood. Carlos and Maria brought their kids over the next day. By the following weekend, Emma and Tyler were proudly giving tours to a growing group of interested neighbors. "Dad, there are like 10 kids at the front door," Tyler reported one Saturday. "They want to know if they can see the Dolphin slide." "It's not a slide," I corrected automatically. "It's a marine life water feature." Tyler rolled his eyes. "Whatever. Can they come see it?" I ended up establishing Dolphin hours, specific times when neighborhood kids could visit with their parents. The parents would bring snacks or drinks as an unspoken entrance fee, and I'd supervise as kids took turns experiencing the joy of being shot out of a dolphin's mouth into my pool. The Dolphin's growing popularity inevitably caught the attention of the HOA board. The formal violation notice arrived exactly 3 weeks after completion, citing misrepresentation of intended use and unauthorized recreational equipment. "Mr. Wilson," Patricia began at the subsequent hearing, her voice stern, "it has come to our attention that your approved marine life water feature is being used as a recreational sliding device, which was not disclosed in your application." "The application detailed all physical aspects of the installation," I replied calmly. "How residents appreciate the art is not specified in the bylaws." You deliberately misled this committee, Gerald accused. Did I? I opened the thick binder I'd brought. Here's my original application, where I specifically mentioned the interactive nature of the installation and the immersive water experience it would provide. The committee approved these exact specifications. Susan coughed to hide her smile. Patricia's eyes narrowed. The board will need to deliberate on this matter. In the meantime, we are issuing a cease and desist order regarding the recreational use of this installation. I nodded politely, but had already consulted with Melissa about my legal standing. They're bluffing, she had assured me. Your installation meets the letter of their regulations. The fact that people enjoy interacting with it doesn't change its classification as art. They're saying I misrepresented the purpose. Purpose is subjective. You created an artistic water feature that people can appreciate in various ways. Some people view art in galleries. Some people slide through it and get launched into pools. She laughed. If they push this, they'll lose, and they know it. The HOA's cease and desist letter was followed by increasingly stern notices, none of which had actual enforcement power. Meanwhile, the Dolphin became a minor local sensation. Someone posted a video of kids sliding through it on social media, which caught the attention of a local news station. The reporter and camera crew arrived on a sunny Saturday afternoon during scheduled Dolphin hours. So, Mr. Wilson, would you say this installation is art, a pool slide, or an act of rebellion? It's all of the above, I answered honestly. Art should provoke emotion and thought. It should be engaging. My Dolphin does that while also providing joy to the community. And what do you say to the HOA's claims that it violates neighborhood aesthetics? I'd invite anyone to explain how a beautiful marine sculpture is less aesthetic than standard pool equipment would have been. The craftsmanship is exceptional. Leo, standing nearby, gave me a thumbs up. The story aired that evening with the delightful title, Making a Splash, Dad's Artistic End Run Around HOA Rules. By Monday, the HOA was fielding calls from residents throughout the development, most supporting the Dolphin, but some concerned about the precedent it set. After weeks of back and forth, Susan proposed a compromise at an emergency HOA meeting. This situation has created unnecessary division in our community, she stated. I propose we allow the Dolphin installation to remain, with certain conditions to address legitimate concerns about safety and usage. The compromise included established hours of operation, posted safety rules, signed waivers for non-family users, and additional landscaping to enhance the artistic context of the installation. This seems like a fair compromise, I said after reviewing the terms. I've already implemented most of these safety measures voluntarily. Patricia looked like she'd swallowed something sour, but nodded. The board will accept these conditions, provided there are no further artistic installations without thorough review. Of course, I agreed solemnly. Though I should mention I've been thinking about the backyard fence. It could use some artistic enhancement. Perhaps a whale-shaped gate. The color drained from Patricia's face before she caught my smile. That was a joke, I assured her. For now. To celebrate the official resolution, I hosted a neighborhood Dolphin warming party. Nearly half the development showed up, including many families I'd never met before. Even some former critics attended, grudgingly admitting the installation was impressive and well-maintained. The biggest surprise was Patricia's appearance with Lily in tow. I didn't expect to see you here, I said, offering her a lemonade. Lily wouldn't stop asking, she explained, nodding toward her granddaughter who was waiting in line for her turn. And I admit, I was curious to see it in operation. We watched as Lily positioned herself at the top and slid down with a delighted squeal. It is quite something, Patricia admitted, though I'll deny saying that at the next board meeting. Your secret is safe with me. The Dolphin brought unexpected positive changes to our lives. Tyler and Emma couldn't wait for their weekends with me, often bringing friends to experience the coolest backyard ever. I developed stronger relationships with neighbors I might never have met otherwise. And I even started dating Sarah, a single mom who brought her kids to swim regularly. "All my friends are jealous that this is my dad's house," Tyler told me one evening as we dried off after swimming. "Jason's dad has a Porsche, but nobody cares about that. Everyone wants to come to the Dolphin house." "It's our house," I corrected gently. "Not just mine." Tyler nodded. "Yeah, our house." That simple statement made every battle with the HOA worthwhile. Perhaps the most interesting outcome was the wave of creative interpretations of HOA rules that followed. Colonel Barrett installed an historical aviation display, an elaborate treehouse shaped like a fighter jet, for his grandchildren. The Mendozas added a cultural heritage water conservation system, a splash pad with Mexican tile work. Even quiet Mr. Fitzgerald constructed a horticultural support structure that looked suspiciously like a putting green. "Your Dolphin started something," Susan told me at the summer block party. "The Architectural Review Committee has received more artistic installation applications in the last 3 months than in the previous 5 years combined. Is that causing problems?" I asked. She smiled. "Actually, it's making the neighborhood more interesting. People are expressing themselves while still being respectful of their neighbors. It's what community should be." "And Patricia?" "Let's just say she's developing a more nuanced appreciation of the term aesthetic harmony." 1 year after the Dolphin's installation, Sunshine Estates had changed in subtle but significant ways. The rigid conformity had softened, replaced by thoughtful individuality. Houses still maintained their curb appeal, but backyard spaces had become more personal and creative. As the sun set on another weekend Dolphin session, I watched as Emma and Tyler helped younger kids position themselves for the perfect slide. The once controversial Dolphin had become a neighborhood institution, mentioned in real estate listings as a community perk. Sarah handed me a drink as she joined me on the patio. "Thinking deep thoughts?" "Just appreciating the view," I replied. Who would have thought that a denied pool slide application would lead to all this? In the golden light of evening, the Dolphin gleamed, water flowing gracefully along its curves before launching another delighted child into the pool. Art, rebellion, joy. Sometimes the lines between them blur until you can't tell where one ends and another begins. And sometimes that's exactly as it should be.